Good evening. My prezi today is on what is differentiated instruction. Differentiated instruction is an approach whereby teachers adjust their curriculum and instruction to maximize the learning of all students. And it involves all students, whether they're average learners, English learners, struggling students, students with learning disabilities, and gifted and talented students. The thing about differentiated instruction is it allows you to bring everybody up under the tent and use all the things that they use, the different gifts that children are born with, whether they're learning disabled or not, to use all of those different things that they know to use in order to learn the instruction that the teacher needs for them to learn to achieve a great education. Next one is, how do teachers differentiate instruction? Well, readiness refers to students' knowledge and skill level regarding given content. So the things that they use are three things: readiness, interest, and the learning profile. The interest part refers to the topic, skills, or activities that pique a student's curiosity. Some students are just naturally more interested in some things than others, and they also use different skills about those topics, whether it be music or anything like that, in order to make themselves remember things and to be able to act out things. And acting out is one of those things also. Then there's the learning profile. Learning profile refers to a student's preferred method of learning. There are different students who learn by using their hands or acting it out. Some like to write poetry or rap it out or act it out. And so what we do is we bring all those up under the umbrella of differentiated instruction and have the children use those things in order to help them. And also they start to feel better about themselves and they're able to show others how to find their own strengths in order for them to remember lessons and to pass lessons also. Also, different children like bright lights, no distractions. Some like hands-on. There's many different things. You just have to know your students and know what are the things that they use in order to learn. Next is, how do teachers prepare their students in their classroom for differentiated instruction? Because differentiated instruction is different from traditional instruction, teachers should discuss it with the students and the parents because big changes will come about. Rearranging of the classroom, setting the different items that the children may need to have access to in places where it's easily accessible, because the teacher won't always be easily accessible because the teacher may be sitting with different groups and maybe some teacher-led activities, this play in this room or in this group, but there'll be fewer of those. But the teacher needs to also concentrate on certain segments of the groups in order to make sure that it's moving along like it should be. It doesn't water down instruction at all. What it does is it challenges the kids more, because when you start to let them use all the different things that they like to use to learn, but also put all the responsibility in their hands to grab all the uh, different items that they need to do, it becomes student led, and which is what you want to get out of the students anyway. If the teachers ever really wanted to get a break in classroom, differentiated instruction is what they would use, because this allows the students to lead the instruction themselves and also make it more fun for them and give them a sense of responsibilities. The students may be working on different activities or assignments, but anyway, it allows them to be able to take charge of what they're learning, and so they feel good about it, and so they walk away with a good sense of pride in what they're doing for that day. What does differentiated instruction look like in the classroom? Well, there's no correct way of doing it, but a couple of the key things is collaboration. Collaborate with others who are in this district who are already using differentiated instruction, because many teachers and many people have different ways of doing it, and you can bring some of those up under your umbrella. But the thing to remember about it is crawl, walk, run. You can add a little differentiated instruction in the crawl phase, but just keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. Break off a little bit of a lesson that may be a large lesson and use some differentiated instruction in there. Next thing you know, you're adding different tools to your toolbox to use in your differentiated instruction. Then you're able to walk which is a little faster than a crawl. And so then you already have ideas and setups already that you use for differentiated instruction for different lessons. Next thing you know, in a little while, you'll be running. And so therefore, what the run phase presents is you're prepared and have an idea of differentiated instruction for each and every class that you want to use, and each and every portion of a class that you want to use, each and every group where you want to make small groups, group leaders to lead those groups, giving the kids a sense of responsibility to move through all these items also. Also, as you build up in your toolbox of different types of differentiated instruction, whenever that lesson comes up, you're not in a nervous wreck trying to figure out what you're going to use because you already have them in your toolbox. Lastly, what if I was given a class, an instruction to other teachers about differentiated instruction, and some of the questions would be like, delivers instruction primarily by lecturing, I would tell the teacher that, the children normally turn themselves off after a few minutes because you're standing up and just constantly lecturing. But if you start to give them things to move around with and put their hands on, one thing about school today is in my school district, there's not a lot of physical education, or recess, I should say. They do physical education, but not recess, where they can actually go out, run around and play and do different things and stuff like that. So sitting in a classroom, it kind of gets boring. So instead of lecturing them all the time, what you do is you want to teach them to learn. I do it, you watch. I do it, you help. You do it, I help. You do it, I watch. You want to start to get them used to getting up and doing things on their own. And so thereby, instead of just lecturing all the time, they know to come in the room, grab the certain items, and go ahead and go forth and be successful. The next one would be, does not permit students to retake tests they have failed. Well, that's a failure in itself. The reason being is because not all children have the great memories. Also, they're distracted by so many things, and we don't know what their home life is like. Also, we don't know if some of them have to babysit 3 or 4 children while they're at home. We don't know if some of them even have to work, or whatever the case may be, a bad life at home or whatever it may be. So what you do is with differentiated instruction, what you want to do is you want to assess them constantly. You don't want to just not let them retake a test because they may have been tired, but also because you've also added differentiated instruction in there, and so they've learned different ways in order to know the work that they need to know. And so that way you can assess them constantly, but also say, hey, retake this test, and let's use some of the different things that we've learned and that you've learned to learn. And there's more than just one way of learning than just memory. That's what I'm truly trying to say. So you want to let them retake that test. Groups students at the beginning of the year based on the previous year's achievement test scores. Well, that's bad also. But the simple fact is children learn. And those groups that they were in last year may not be the groups that they're in this year. So you want to constantly assess them to find out where they are right now. You can linger in the past, but the past is the past. But what we're doing is walking toward the future. And so you want to constantly assess them and regroup them even in the same year that you have them in groups already. You want to constantly regroup them as they progress, because the work will not get easier. It will be challenging to them, and you want to keep it challenging. So you want to keep regrouping. Gives bonus points for class participation. I wouldn't give bonus points for class participation for the simple fact is everybody should be participating. And that is the reason for differentiated instruction, because I want everybody up, alive, participating, and given to their maximum capacity. Also, all those who want to linger and lay back, when they see these other children who, whether they're learning disabled or not, using this differentiated instruction and the different items and the different ways that you can do it, then no one should need bonus points for classroom participation. It should be something that is mandated for everyone, and everyone gets the same. Gives a test every Friday. That's what I was speaking of, is a constant assessment. No, you need to assess them after each and every instruction to see where they are. Each and every new class requires each and a new assessment, and so that new assessment says where they are for that different class or that different set of instructions that you're doing. So you don't want to give a test every Friday. You want to assess each and every time you speak with the children, and that way you can elevate their learning. And you may have to put off tests every Friday in order for those who are using more than just memory action to learn, but also it gives them a little bit longer to get to where they need to be successful. And that is the end of my Prezi, and I thank you.